is a hydrologist, and also we have Dr. D. Mandal, is expert in soil, and Dr. Kaushal, Rajesh Kaushal, is expert in biodiversity. We have with us three experts and a director of the institute. It will be there for everyone.
So just try to understand, it will be a tragedy of common.
Suppose you build a dam, you block the flow of river to the adjoining area.
By 2050, about 10 to 15% of the species will become extinct.
But leave well doesn't mean misuse of the resources.
What we are doing, we are not looking for solution from our part. We are looking at some agency, government.
Otherwise, one fine morning we'll say the stream is dried up and every human civilization will suffer. And the crisis moment will come.
The first thing is there will be the loss of the species.
Though they are living in an artificial environment, in AC and everything is there, but they have to come to the outside, and when they are coming to outside, their life is affected.
When the soil is there, it has to be protected.
Solution-based lifestyle.
There are solutions. So, a lot of scope is there to produce biofuel.
Please plant more trees, because they are the only solution to land degradation. They are the solution to climate change. They are the solution to our ecosystem services, green accounting. So please plant more trees. Thank you.
We have to understand that wherever local rainfall is there, please harvest it.
Climate change, it is a relatively broader type. It includes about whatever the thing it is happening the soil, and whatever the things it is happening with respect to the water, or with respect to the biodiversity, or any other changes it is happening in the environment because of the temperature, rise in temperature, that is due to the climate change phenomenon. Now we get the torrential rain, even unseasonally rain also we get. That is one factor. And the secondly, the flooding also it will be there, droughts also will be there. These are the impacts of climate change.
Yeah, I think one of the immediate effect of climate change you're going to experience is on water cycle. Already experiencing, it has started. And there are two things of concern. First is occurrence of rainfall and snowfall. That is going to change, certainly. And second thing is response of plants, animals and humans to these changes. Because hydrologic cycle is a physical process. It's circulation of water among the land, ocean and atmosphere. So warmer climates will lead to more vapors in the atmosphere. That will lead to its circulation in the atmospheric layer in a different way. Already our monsoon rainfall is monsoon system is very erratic. And then some areas will receive more rainfall, some areas will receive less rainfall. So this is certainly going to happen. Its immediate effect will be on plant growth, right? It is found that increased CO2 level decrease the transpiration, but increased temperature increases the transpiration. So water demands of entire vegetation, either natural or what we are taking as crop, will change. And if you see the combined effect of increased CO2 level, increased temperature and reduced rainfall, the water demand, that is what we call as evapotranspiration of vegetation, will increase. With that increase, your soil becomes dry because soil holds the moisture. So with increase in evapotranspiration, your soil becomes dry. Your reservoirs becomes, evaporation losses are more. So they hold less water. Their storage capacity becomes less. This entire cycle, if repeated time and again, and we do not take any ameliorative measures, then that becomes permanent, and the entire hydrologic cycle is altered to the very negative effect for human and plant, vegetation, natural vegetation.
So here, when the climate change is happening, there is prediction that in some places there will be more intense rain, though the quantity of rain is not very high, but there will be more frequent intense rain. So per unit hour the rainfall will be more. And some places the rainfall will be a deficit, whatever is the normal average, it will be less than that. So in hilly areas like in Himalayan, northeastern Himalayan regions and northwestern Himalayan regions where the institute is located in Uttarakhand, there is a prediction that around 10 to 20% more of rain either in intensity or quantity will be there by 2050 and 2080. So next 3 decades to next 5 decades, the climate change impact in this region as far as rainfall is concerned, there is a more intense and also some quantity of rain will be more. More powerful rain is causing soil erosion. So more powerful rain has a more energy that will erode the land if it is not protected. And there is misappropriate use of the land because we cannot cover the land with forest and grassland because we have to produce also cultivate. So we are intensely cultivating, and in some places when the soil is not covered, particularly in the month of June, early June, where the monsoon, the pre-monsoon rain is there, and there is some high intense rain, and it will erode the soil very much. And soil formation is a very slow process. So to understand the sustainability, you should also know that there is a sustainable limit. Soil formation is almost 0.1 millimeter per year. But one day high intense rain can erode even 10 centimeters of soils. So we cannot compensate these loss with the gain of soil formation. So there is always a net loss, and this topsoil contains more of nutrient, more of organic matter, more of microbial organisms. So soil is not just inert things of sand, silt and clay particles. It's a living things. And when erosion is more, so there will be impact on soil health.
You see, climate change and biodiversity both are interrelated things. And if a slight change in climate is there, change in temperature is there, change in rainfall is there, ultimately the first thing is there will be the loss of the species. Why the loss of the species? Because this land degradation is going on, and coupled with deforestation, it is going to species loss will be there. And the studies, they have already predicted that by 2050, about 10 to 15% of the species will become extinct. And just imagine if species, they are becoming extinct, they are not in their habitat, ultimately our ecosystem services, they are going to be affected. And once our ecosystem services, they are affected, land degradation is inevitable, and again our agriculture production is going to be affected due to the ecosystem services. If you talk of the Himalayan region, what is going on? Now, if you see with the increase in the temperature, particularly if you see there is advancement in the flowering in many of the tree species we have observed, whether it is myrica or it is pyrosphacia or many species of the Ojasvi family. Now their advancement in flowering is there. And if you see particularly when there is advancement in the flowering, it is not synchronizing with the your seed maturation, and ultimately when the seed is germinating in the rainfall. So earlier there used to be synchronization, but if the seed maturation is advanced, so particularly rainfall will be in the later stages, so again the seed, they are not going to germinate. So ultimately our forests are going to be affected. Further, if you see rise in the temperature, the forest fire, they are now increasing, and if the forest fire is increasing, the land degradation is increasing also. Particularly if you see again your sea level, they are rising now. If the sea level are rising, it means the coastal biodiversity, the aquatic biodiversity, it is being hampered. So particularly all these things are related to climate change only, and we need to tackle this issue at the earliest.
Already we are seeing that rainfall is seasonal in our country. It's from June to September. And some parts also receive winter rainfall. Already we have observed there is a change in rainfall pattern, like delayed monsoon arrival. It used to be, for example, in this northwestern Himalayan region, it was middle of June. Now it is first week of July. I mean, it's not permanent, but those kind of variations occur. But we are seeing it. It has become more like a common phenomenon. Then delayed withdrawal of monsoon. So you receive rainfall in September, October. This year heavy rainfall occurred in October. So not only this year, previous years also this kind of occurrence has happened. Then, and these are the shifts from our normal observation. I mean, when we analyze the data for past 50 years, 100 years, these are the shift from the normal occurrence of rainfall. Then there is more events as pre-monsoon rainfall, that is in May and June, first week of June. They have also increased. Another change we have seen is that there is a longer dry period between the two wet days, I mean two rainfall events during the rainfall season itself. This year itself, July was very dry. So rainfall occurred, there was a longer dry period, then rainfall occurred. So that causes stress to crops. Regarding intensity, you can read the even newspapers. Intense rainfall have become more frequent. We take 2005, year 2005 as base year for climate change. So from there onwards, I have seen that those kind of events, like those occurred in 2010, 2013, then 2021 even, their frequency, although if we see our historical data, their frequency was 50-70 years, something like that. Now it is coming as 6 to 7 years. Of course, long-term data analysis is required. But in past 2 decades, within a period of 6 to 7 years, we have seen very intense rainfalls. Then because of that intensity, like Dr. Mandal was telling, erosion rate becomes very higher. So we have found in our study that if there is a 1% increase in intensity of rainfall, the erosion rate increases by 2%. In our country, for example, 66 million hectare area is there which is low erosion rate now. I mean, that is a safe erosion rate. If intense rainfall occurs and in those areas also high rate of erosion occurs, that is causing land degradation. So those 66 million hectares of area, which is mainly croplands, will also degrade. In addition to what is the present situation. So these are the huge impacts which will be there. Some of them are already being observed.
Actually, in this climate change situation, we are having only 2 options. Either to tolerate and adjust according to the condition, that is our adaptation. And the second thing is to mitigate the thing. How to mitigate? Either by reducing the greenhouse gases or by sequestering them or enhancing our carbon sink. Agroforestry is always useful in providing the adaptation. when tree is introduced into the agriculture crop. So what, first of all, the shade is there due to the canopy. And due to the shade, there is change in the microclimate. And this changing microclimate, it helps in enhancing the quality and quantity of the intercrops which is with the trees. And particularly sometime during the water stress. Now, deep root trees, they go deep inside the soil and they can take the water. It can provide made available to the trees and the crops. But again, reverse is also true. When sometimes the waterlogged conditions are there, so tree they also act as a pump. This is known as a biodrainage. So due to this evapotranspiration, they can transpire a lot of water, and due to this biodrainage, this waterlogging condition, it can also be moderated. Then coming to the mitigation option. So first of all, if you see the trees, particularly Dr. Madhu also told earlier, and due to this photosynthesis. So due to this photosynthesis, trees capturing a lot of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and it is fixing either in the form of your bole in branches and below ground in the roots also. So that is one. Second, the litter when it is being added to the soil. So it is also enhancing the carbon in the soil. Then coming to the second, how agroforestry can be helped in reducing the greenhouse gases. Just an example, when we are growing the trees, it means some of the area is under the tree cultivation now. It means for agriculture operation, what agriculture operation will be done, the area will be reduced. And if the area is reduced, particularly the machinery which will be operated in the agriculture, it is going to be reduced. And if this machinery is reduced particularly, so it means there will be less emission of greenhouse gases. Similarly, if you see, when we are introducing the tree, particularly nitrogen fixing tree, so it means we have to give less urea to the crop, less nitrogen fertilizer to the crop. Even if it is not a nitrogen fixing tree, even then trees they help in enhancing the efficiency of the nitrogen fertilizer. So ultimately they help in checking the activity. But one thing has to be taken care, whatever the products are coming from these short rotation trees, they are to be converted into some kind of products. Otherwise, this CO2 will be again released back to the atmosphere. So until and either they are converted into products, we cannot discuss. So these need to be converted either into product or they need to be fixed. And not only poplar and eucalyptus, but bamboo. Bamboo is also one of the important. It's a very fast growing tree species, and it can be harvested annually. So it can sequester a lot of carbon dioxide. But again, we need to convert it to product. Otherwise, if we are losing, it can be a carbon neutral. So in that sense, agroforestry truly it can help in adapting and mitigating the carbon.
Yes, of course, many things are manageable, and nowadays we are talking about anthropogenic activities or Anthropocene. We are now living in the era of Anthropocene because human induced the acceleration is much faster after the industrial revolution, you can say. Anthropogenic activities is causing the harm, but on the other hand, human being can cause many good things. If it is managed by appropriate measures, definitely there is some improvement. And there are some historical records that a land from even 3000 years old land is maintaining sustainability. There is one research findings that if there is erosion, then there will be impact on food production by 13.4 million tons. So if there is no erosion, or if there is less erosion, we can say, then we can increase this production under the same climate, same management, same behavior, same cropping system. So we can even save 13.4 million tons of food grain. But as erosion is there, so there will be impact on the food grain production. This is number one. If grass production is less, it will affect the green fodder availability. Even the many woods and fuels we are getting from the land-based activities. If the growth is not normal due to climate change or due to degradation, then the availability of the fodder, fuel and biomass will be less, definitely less. So there will be people migration, and it is happening. So this impact is huge, and these goods and services, if it is affected, there will be social crisis, there will be political crisis, It is not just it is affecting one mass or one group of people. No, it's a inter cross border between the state, and also it is a global thing. Land degradation, history says that due to land degradation, many civilizations were collapsed, declined. So we have to learn the lesson from the history, and we should not again repeat the same thing. And human can make it. Human can make it. There are records that the terraces, that cultivation on the sloping land, it is a 4,000 years old practice. We can make it even more sustainable.
Water availability will be severely affected. The one region is less rainfall. Even if high rainfall is there and we do not replenish our water resources like groundwater, then also water availability will be reduced. If you see broadly the water balance of landscape, rainfall is the major input for freshwater resources. I'm leaving behind the glaciers. Glaciers store more fresh water, but it is not readily available. So rainfall is major input. And only 40% of that input rainfall, you go to any region, is flowing in our rivers and streams, and 60% remains on the landscape. So two major things are going to happen. Our groundwater resources will deplete even if intense rainfall is occurring. Then also, because more runoff is there, less infiltration of rainfall to groundwater. If less rainfall is occurring, then also less recharge to groundwater. And we are, for most of our water consumption, we are dependent on groundwater only. For river waters, we have to build dams, barrage, and all this and that. Then second thing is demand side. This was supply. Demand side also, we found in our study, like for during high temperature, like in summer months again, if 1 degree Celsius rise of temperature is there, your water consumption increases by approximately 1 liter per capita per day. Majorly, agriculture sector is there. The impact will be there on water availability, but domestic consumption of water, this is again based on our study, will increase by 77% due to this warming of climate and population growth both. So by 2050, 77% domestic consumption will increase, 23% of water consumption by livestock will increase, and if industrial development is also taking place, there also almost 19% of water consumption will increase. This will lead to conflict between human consumption and natural systems.
Whatever the activity which is conserving the carbon and putting it into the soil, basically that is your carbon farming. Now why it is now gaining the importance? Now because now since incentive has been added to this, now if anybody is doing carbon farming, he can get some amount of money provided. It is in the name of the carbon credit. Now what is carbon credit? Carbon credit is nothing else but it is some kind of payment which is given by the emitter who is emitting the carbon dioxide to the landholder who is mainly practicing or reducing the greenhouse gases. Now whatever the greenhouse gases he has reduced from his farm, he can sell that to the emitter. At individual level, it doesn't look so attractive, but if you see at a country level, now because they are already, this country, they are having some kind of targets for emission of greenhouse gases. Now if any country, if he is emitting more than its target, then actually he has to purchase some kind of that extra amount what he is releasing it to the atmosphere that he has to purchase. So that's why now carbon farming is gaining the momentum, and particularly from farmer point of view, from community point of view, rather, it is going to be very, very important. But again, it requires a lot of commitment from the government also, how these carbon farming it can be made to the farmer. That is one of the important issues.